In the past two videos, we discussed the idea that the Torah was given to the Am Levadad so that we could model to the rest of the world a society based on the principles of ethical monotheism, justice, kindness, and holiness. If you think about it, that means that through the actions of the Am Levadad, who are meant to study it and live by it, the Torah is meant to be the driving force behind the moral and spiritual development of humanity. The first chief rabbi of Israel in modern times, Rav Avraham Yitzchak HaKohen Kook, spoke about this a lot. He talked about how humans have a natural built-in tendency to grow and develop. Thousands of years ago, he said, people were much less morally developed than they are today, and it's the Torah that has helped facilitate this transformation. So as we said in the previous video, the Torah is meant to be the engine driving human moral and spiritual development. But this leads to a problem. When the Torah was given, the world was very different than it is now in so many ways. The Torah that was given at Sinai needs to remain relevant throughout the entire process as the world progresses. How's that possible? Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was approached by a serious, thoughtful, and committed Reform Jew who wanted to understand more about Orthodoxy. I asked him what he thought the difference is between Orthodox and Reform Judaism. After thinking for a moment, he told me, Reform believes that traditional practices must be updated and changed to meet the times, while the Orthodox live exactly as our ancestors did. In response, I pointed out that despite some similarities in the stereotypical dress and appearance of some of us, Orthodox Jews are not Amish. Unlike the Amish, Orthodox Jews drive cars, use cell phones, fly on airplanes, and avail themselves of other technological conveniences. And more significantly, while there are substantial differences between various Orthodox groups regarding the extent to which this principle is applied, all agree that the practical application of laws and traditions must be appropriate for the specific generation, community, and individual involved. So I told him his definition is incorrect. Orthodox Jews do not live exactly as our ancestors did. In fact, from a certain perspective, his self-definition of Reform belief, which was that traditional practices must be updated and changed to meet the times, that defines Orthodoxy as well. So then what is the difference? Or to put it differently, how can the undeniable reality that today we don't live the same way our ancestors did, how can that be reconciled with the assertion that the Torah has not been changed and can never be replaced? The answer lies in what is perhaps the most unusual aspect of the divine wisdom evident in the Torah, the system known as Torah shebe'al peh, the oral law, and specifically the halakha, the legal system through which the Torah's commandments are put into action. When you study Torah shebe'al peh and halakha, several paradoxes become apparent. According to its own self-definition, the halakha is both eternal and dynamic, unchangeable, yet highly flexible and adaptable. It's also both human and divine. It's a partnership between God and man. The secret behind this powerful system is God's surprising decision to formulate ethical, religious, and philosophical principles into commandments that together form a legal system. In video number 5, I recalled how I realized during my first year in yeshiva that more than being theologians, thinkers, or spiritual leaders, the Talmudic sages and the later rabbis were and are lawyers. That may seem odd at first, but its power is enormous. As any skilled lawyer can attest, a legal system is both grounded and evolving, conservative and adaptable. Laws evolve to meet changing needs through a constant interplay of legislation, litigation, public convention, legal decisions, and precedent. And all those elements are present in halakha as well. A wonderful rabbinic legend says that when he went up to Mount Sinai, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, found the Almighty, quote, tying crowns to the letters of the Torah. Not understanding the significance of those crowns, Moshe inquired, and God informed him that well over 1,000 years later, a great sage would live named Rabbi Akiva, who would be able to derive many important insights from those crowns. So Moshe said he'd like to see this man, and God obliged by sending him into the future, where he found himself sitting at the back of Rabbi Akiva's Beit Midrash. Moshe quickly became very distressed because he did not understand any part of the lecture. Could it be that after being transmitted over so many generations, the Torah would become distorted beyond recognition? But the story concludes with Moshe hearing one of the students in the study hall ask Rabbi Akiva what was the source for one of his points. And when Rabbi Akiva responded, "It's a halacha leMoshe miSinai, a halacha taught to Moshe on Mount Sinai," Moshe was comforted. This poetic image encapsulates the secret of Torah Shebaal Peh. Indeed, Moshe could not understand Rabbi Akiva any more than Rabbi Akiva would have been able to understand today's halachic debates about subjects like brain death, electronic commerce, artificial intelligence, or lab-grown meat. But the decisions that Rabbi Akiva taught were based upon the principles that Moshe transmitted, just as today's decisions are based upon those of Rabbi Akiva and his colleagues. In this way, the halakha can react to societal change and development while simultaneously molding and shaping that development. The halakha can adapt and evolve while remaining true to its source. And that's actually the major difference between Orthodox and Reform Judaism. Reform posits that the laws written in the Torah thousands of years ago, when the world was so different than it is today, shouldn't be observed in today's world. And therefore, they view the Torah, which they believe may have been inspired by God, but was written by people, not as binding laws or commandments, but as the starting point of a very long conversation that has to be revisited and updated by consensus in every generation. The claim motivating that philosophy is undeniably powerful. However, Orthodoxy responds that the solution offered by Reform is not really a solution. The attempt to update the Torah to keep it relevant results in replacing the divinely given Torah with human ideas. Instead of the Torah guiding our society, society winds up guiding the Torah. But halakha, with its legal tools, can solve this problem. Human beings have a major role in its evolution and adaptation, and yet the halakha remains divine. As Rabbi Akiva said in the story, it all goes back to halakha leMoshe miSinai, the halakha taught to Moshe on Mount Sinai. Because of these unique characteristics, the Torah can be developed and adapted without being changed, distorted, or replaced. Its timeless messages can be applied to the unique circumstances of each generation and can help move the world step by step towards redemption. In our next video, number 7, entitled Two Paths to Redemption, we'll return to our discussion of the Am Levadad's role in history, and we'll discuss what happens if we do or don't live up to our mission.